If you don't know your average project duration, especially by system type or by PM, you're not controlling your capacity, your install capacity. You're just guessing how many jobs you can schedule next month. And so here, this KPI is going to turn your install planning from intuition into actual numbers. And we're going to take the average. And so you could also do the median if you wanted to, but the average is going to account for the outliers, as to where a median would just take the middle number. And so we're just going to show what is the average project duration by PM and by system type, and then an overall by PM, and then an overall by system type. And then this is just an overall, like a total, right? Average number of, the number of days by project. And so here's a data set, pretty basic data set, just, project ID, when did it start? There's a planned end date, which we're not using, but we're just using actual end date and then start date. We just need these two columns as well as system type and as well as the PM. We're not going to look at, any delays or things like that. This specific KPI is purely on how long does it take. There's a bunch of other KPIs in the PM chapter of my book that's going to cover all those other things. But all we have to do is add a column and then equals the actual duration. So really straightforward. Actual end date minus start date. Right? And then you get this number here. It's formatted as dollars, but you get this number here, right? Which is what you already see. So I'm going to delete this because we don't need it. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is we need to get a unique list of the system type, because that's what we're going to have in the column. So equals unique, go to the table, make sure you have the table, and then highlight the column. And then press enter, and we're good here. And if you want to sort it, you can. It's really up to you. If you want to sort that to be alphabetical, if you only have 3, 4, 5 different system types, then it might not matter. But if you have a lot of different variables here, it's like you would expect to see controls at the top, right? You would expect to see rooftop units towards the bottom, but it's really just personal preference. I'm going to copy this and then Control Shift V to paste as values. Okay, so the next thing we want is a unique list of the project managers. So table PM. I know I'm going fast, but if you have your data in a table, which we do, then everything will be a lot easier. And the way you do that is just go into your data set and press Control T. If you want this data set, there's a link to download it. And if you can't find that, just shoot me an email. Okay, so same thing here. We want to sort this. And then finally, we want to put this across the row. We don't want it like this, right? We want, Carlos to be here and Luis to be here. So you can just wrap this with a transpose function. Okay, I'm just going to copy and paste the values. Okay, so but as of right now, we're just doing this off system type. But you can change system type to revenue buckets. You can change this to revenue buckets. There's a lot of different ways to do it, but the fundamentals that we want to average. So with AVERAGEIFS, the first argument is the numerical range you're trying to take the average of. And so the next thing is the table. And here you can choose system type or you can choose PM. It's really up to you. And then B3, comma, and then again the table, and now we want the PM, comma, Brandon Shaw here. And we have an average, as simple as that. But before moving on with this, I want to break this down just to show you the value. Okay, so just imagine numbers here. So here, in this column, we want the overall, just the total average, right? So equals the average of the table duration. So in the whole data set, this is just the pure, like the average of every job, but it doesn't tell you that much, right? And so let's do the next average by Brandon Shaw. So what I'll do is I'll copy this and then I'll paste it, but I'll strip out the control and the retrofit. So strip out this. Right? And so this is the average of Brandon Shaw. I'm going to lock this cell so I can copy and then paste. And you can see between these three, it tells you something, but it's not much. And then here, I want to do the overall. So what I'm going to do here is copy and then paste, but now I'm going to strip out the red. for Brandon. So yours will always be red, but that's what I'm going to take out. And then copy and paste. And you can see here, now we're getting to where we're actually getting insights into our data, right? So mini splits are bringing down the average. And then for here, what we want to do is we just want to copy this over and drag it down, but we can't right now because of the way Excel's referencing is. So what you'll notice is this should be Brandon Shaw, but as we drag it down, it changes. So what we want to do is we want to tell Excel, like, hey, as I go over, I want the system type to stay the same. As I go down, I want the PM to stay the same. So you have to do what's called relative absolute referencing at the column and the row level. Right now, this is relative referencing. It's just doing relative to what you do. And so anywhere you see the columns that you want to lock, put a $sign before the column, which is before the letter. And then for the row, put a $sign before the row, which is before the number. And then now you still need to copy and paste. You still can't drag it because of tape. Another variable that you would want is you would want to have a count of the jobs here, which is just a COUNTIFS instead of an AVERAGEIFS, and you would take out the value column in order to make an actual judgment. And then finally, what we can do is we can conditional format this to see our highest and lowest values. So to color code that. So highlight those 3 rows because you don't want to do it like this. You don't want to highlight everything, conditional formatting. It's like you don't want to do this because it doesn't tell you anything other than RTU is the highest. But what you might want to know is who is the highest by PM. So we'll have to highlight the row, just those 3 values, conditional formatting, color scales, and then red is high. And then you can do it again for all of these, or you can just highlight those 3, double click home format painter, and then just go all the way through. And this actually paints a picture, right? Like this, and that's why I wanted to start with Brandon, just that one value, but then show you overall in the data set and then overall. Anyways, that is the gist of this KPI. And so if you have any questions, shoot me an email. If you want the file, there's a link to download it. If you can't find it, shoot me an email. And also if you need some help, structuring your data or getting insights into your data, there's a link to my calendar, or you can just email me. But anyways, that's all I got for this one, and I'll see you in future videos.